Hey, I want to talk to you about consciousness. You will hear this again for you who attend on campus. I'm sleepy, sorry. Been up for an hour. Um, States of consciousness. As I say, for those of you who will be in attendance next Tuesday, uh, you'll hear this again, but it's an important area because there's so much confusion. As you know by now, psychology covers so many things. And obviously, you're in brain and behavior. So, what's consciousness got to do with brain and behavior? Well, uh, what are you doing when you're awake? You're behaving, right? So, we're going to talk a little bit about it in an elementary way. So, we're going to kind of readdress intro stuff here. It still affects brain and behavior. I'm not going to give you a bunch of brain areas related to this. I want you to read about that online and for you who are coming to class. But we will cover. This puts me to sleep like this unit on sleeping and dreaming. We will cover the basics. So let's get started. All right. So maybe that'll make me quit yawning. States of consciousness. What are they? Well, there are two kinds. There's what you're doing now, unless you're like me, about to fall asleep. Um, Consciousness. What is that? That's an organism's awareness of its own self and its surroundings. It's pretty broad, isn't it? It doesn't say human being, it says organisms. Aware of yourself and aware of your surroundings. So what does that tell you? It's saying the organism, anything's an organism that moves, right? Anything that's alive is an organism. Is a plant an organism? Yep. Does it have consciousness? Don't know. Um, So I'm aware. I'm aware of what's around me. I'm aware of myself. But this applies to every living thing uh, in the animal kingdom or in the insect kingdom or in whatever. But I bring up plants because there was an experiment done back about 10, 12 years ago. Revealed some weird things. I'll tell you about in a minute. Uh, but let's talk about this awareness just for a second. Have you ever tried to kill a fly or step on a spider or whatever the case is? They're aware, they have a survival uh, willingness built in. Do they reason like you and I do? No, of course not. But are they aware? And the answer, of course, is yes. They try to get away. It's hard to kill a fly. It's not hard to get rid of a spider, but think of some of the things that you've had to deal with in your short little lives that are pesky and whatever, and you want to get rid of them. And they don't just sit there and let you do it unless it's some kind of an animal like a stink bug that are easily done away with. So I think you get the picture. What about this experiment that was done, though? Can you walk by a tree and say, hello, tree, and it waves a limb or something? No. So are they aware? Well, not supposed to be. But this experiment had to do with I can't remember the plant now. It wasn't like a Venus flytrap, which will react to an insect landing in its open leaves or whatever those are, and then it shuts on the fly. This was some other kind of a plant. Now, by the way, that Venus flytrap doesn't mean that it's got a brain that's saying, there's a fly, get it, boy, I'm hungry. Uh, I don't know what causes that. You'd have to read something in a biology thing, some deal with plants, botany lab or whatever. It's not in psychology. But here's what they did. Psychological experiment to see if there was some sort of awareness with day-to-day plants. So they took this average plant, hooked an EEG up to it. Y'all know what that is. They plug it into your head and put these electrodes up there and read brain waves. So they put this thing on a plant to a leaf, and they plucked the leaf off the other side, and they looked at the readings on the graph. What did the readings show? The graph showed that this plant displayed the same kind of brain readings that would come out of your brain if we hooked you up to one of those deals and somebody pinched you real hard. It's kind of weird. I don't. They couldn't draw many conclusions from that because obviously a plant's not going to talk. Uh, so I guess the jury's still out on that. But that's consciousness. It's an awareness. It's awareness of yourself and your surroundings. But guess what? We got another kind. This is called alternate states of consciousness. Consciousness, waking awareness. Alternate states of consciousness, short form ASCs, easier to say. So ASCs, mental states other than waking consciousness. What are those? Well, let's start with one that we all love, sleep. While you're sleeping, dreaming. If you're unfortunate enough to have done, and hopefully you still don't do, psychoactive drugs. What's a psychoactive drug? It's anything that changes perception. Alcohol, marijuana, pick one, mescaline, psilocybin, so on and so forth. Peyote cactus, which was popular with the Indians, smoked it. That's what was in those peace pipes, according to what my Cherokee friends tell me. Hypnosis. Is hypnosis real? Yeah and no. And meditation. Is meditation real? Absolutely. So these are called alternate states of consciousness. What did I just say? Sleep? Uh-oh. That means you're conscious. Wait a minute. I thought I was unconscious when I was asleep. No. Your brain's up there firing away. So let's look deeply at these. Not too deeply. Don't have enough time. Let's look at what we call levels of awareness. A level of awareness. This is in the conscious realm, but we're going to wind up in a realm called unconscious. So, level of awareness as in high awareness. What is that? Well, again, you can read about what brain areas control this. I'm not going to get that involved in that because then you might as well not read. So, high awareness. What occurs here? What we call controlled processes. What's a controlled process? Concentration, period. Focused maximum attention. I know you guys know I fly. When I fly an airplane, I am definitely in a state of high awareness. Otherwise, I won't be there the next Tuesday to talk to you about psychology. So, controlled processes, focused maximum attention. What's wrong with concentration? Your brain doesn't really like it. We'll talk about that in a second. So, high awareness. Move from high awareness down to what we call middle awareness. Now, I'll give you some examples of the differences. Middle awareness. We switch off this business of controlled processes, and we enter into what we call automatic processes. Some people like to call this second nature. If you want to call it that, fine. That's not too scientific. What's an automatic process? It's an activity that requires minimal attention. You can slip off into daydreaming here. Is daydreaming not good? Daydreaming's fine. It depends on when it occurs. Again, I'm flying a Piper Cherokee, and I start daydreaming. Guess what? I'll probably fly into the ground. You don't want to do that. So it hurts a lot. So automatic processes, minimal attention. But can you slip into that, this second nature kind of deal? Okay, so I'm learning to drive, and I've never driven before. My driver's ed teacher's sitting there staring at me, and I'm trying to do everything I'm being told to do. Where is my attention span? My attention is in my level of awareness is at a high awareness state. I'm controlled here. I'm watching, make sure I don't run off the road or whatever the case is. Now it's 8 months later. I have my driver's license, and I'm driving down the road with my left wrist on top of the steering wheel, looking over here, switching radio stations or texting or whatever I'm doing. It's because you got acclimated to being able to drive, and now you don't concentrate much anymore. Not good, right? Truck drivers do it. You're out there hour after hour after hour driving a big truck. You slip into a middle level of awareness, you liable to run over grandma and the grandkids, and that's not a good thing. So minimal attention. Now I'm not saying automatic processes are bad. What I'm saying is they are activities that don't require a lot of attention. Unfortunately, some things that need a lot of attention become automatic processes, and driving happens just to be one of those. Don't do it on a motorcycle. And then daydreaming happens here. Daydreaming is fine. I'm sure that if you're one of the people that attend my class in person, there are times when daydreaming takes place and you're staring at the wall and you don't know a thing I've said, and that's cool. I don't talk that long anyway. But daydreaming is good. What's the difference here? Okay, concentration and automatic stuff. So low concentration and middle awareness, high concentration and high awareness. And if you stop and think, I mentioned a moment ago that concentration is not necessarily something you like to do. Well, you know why? Because you have to work at it. Think about when you study. What are you doing when you study? You're concentrating. If it's memorization, doesn't matter. You're concentrating. And you study for 2 hours, and what happens? You get up and you feel like you just ran 3 miles. It's because you've been working. You've been making your brain do something that it doesn't really ordinarily necessarily want to do, because your brain is wired to want to wander, look around. Oh boy, I wish I was in Myrtle Beach right now. I wish I was up at 2,000 feet looking down on the earth. Whatever the case is, or you slip off daydreaming. So whatever, those are the differences. It's your brain's not working much when you daydream, unless you're making up some kind of weird fantasies. And then there's another process here. While you're in middle awareness, guess what? This subconscious business might take place. It occurs during middle awareness. You are actually functioning at a state below awareness. It's called subliminal. So I am not concentrating. I'm in a middle state of awareness, middle level of awareness, and I'm basically slipping into something a little deeper than that, a little below the level of awareness. What happens here? Sleep, dreaming. So again, what I just say, below the level of awareness, but not unconscious. How do you prove that? Have you ever been awakened by a loud noise, or a flash of light in the room, or whatever the case is? Yeah, or even a smell. Oh no, smoke or whatever. That's what happens during subconscious. Have you ever gotten a car and driven from point A to point B, and you get to point B and you go, how in the world did I get here? I don't even remember driving here. I know I was driving, but I don't remember. Well, you probably were bouncing between subliminal and middle awareness. It can be dangerous. And we've all done that. We've all done that. There was an experiment done, many experiments done with subliminal perception. What is that? That's how you drove from A to B. You were still processing information around you. You don't know how many accidents occur because of this subliminal business, but it occurs frequently. It's happened to me, even driving a big truck. Drove quite a few miles. Drove 100 miles one time. Didn't even realize, because I was in a subliminal perception state of mind, and I got to where I thought I was going. I found out that I was about 90 some odd miles in the wrong place. So not good, right? Kind of makes the company mad at you because you just burnt their diesel fuel up. So It happens to all of us. One more level, low awareness. Hmm. Low awareness. What happens here? This is when you actually are unconscious. That have no awareness whatsoever. Low awareness slash no awareness. This is biology doing its thing. It's the lowest level of awareness because there ain't no awareness. How does that happen? Head injuries, anesthesia, coma. I don't know about you guys. I think I've asked this in my face-to-face classes. Who's had a concussion? I've had 5 of those. 4 of them I was unconscious. The 5th one I lost conscious briefly and didn't even know I had lost conscious until my wife said, "You were knocked out." I said, "No." And she said, "Yeah, you are." "Yeah, you sure were." I was in an accident. So head injuries put you out. Anesthesia, they put you under. It's done by your weight and your history of medications and maybe alcohol, etc. I have to know what your tolerance levels are, how much adaptation has taken place. I know a fellow who drank a lot of beer and went to the dentist to get some dental work done, and they shot him up pretty good with the stuff that they use. Can't remember right at the top of my head because I think they've changed to something different. And they couldn't get his gums deadened because he drank so much beer. He had adapted to his brain had adapted to that, and so couldn't get the dental work done. I don't know whatever happened with this guy. I've heard a lot of stories like that. Sodium pentothal to knock you goofy so that they can reset bones and so on and so forth. Uh, so it's anesthesia that puts you out. Who's had major surgery besides me? Had knee surgery to replace my left knee. Too many years of playing rugby, and they conked me out, and I thought I'd slept for about an hour. Went in surgery at 8, woke up looking all around, thinking it was about 9, and it was 3 in the afternoon. Totally out of it, no dreaming or anything. And then coma, the third thing. Coma is very odd. Um, there's some new research going on with coma because there are questions about just how far out of it you are. I hope they get it right. Many times they put people into a medically induced coma because of horrible injuries like massive burns, and they need to get it right. They need to know that the person is in fact beyond uh, awareness, in a state of no awareness. I had a student who had I won't give you gruesome details. She had surgery, and whatever they did just didn't, it knocked her out to a point where she couldn't respond, but she could still feel the surgery taking place. So feel the scalpel. Pretty yucky to think about. So that's a brief description of consciousness. That's kind of what's going on. Your book's got a whole lot more in it about this stuff. There's some basics to work from. And this is kind of a short lecture today, 18 minutes, 18 and a half minutes. So good. That's good for you. We got 1 or 2 weeks left. I hadn't looked yet. I think this lecture is for week. Is this next week? I don't even know. Okay, whatever. Enjoy this. No, it's this week. Enjoy this. I hope you can. I hope you learned a little bit anyway. And sleep well.